Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Coaching from the Couch. This is your weekly DMV sports update. And this week, we are all laser focused in on the Washington Wizards draft. Hey, everybody, this is Candi CWall Waller checking in to say hello. I know some of you all probably figured you would not see me until Commander's training camp, but surprise, surprise, I've checked in a little early because Bowie Television is indeed covering the Washington Wizards. Over the years, I've certainly covered the Wizards through my role as the Sports Illustrated managing publisher for Inside the Wizards. I've had a Washington Wizards segment on Coaching from the Couch, the weekly DMV sports update since 2018. And now I have a dedicated piece to discuss the Washington Wizards 2024 draft, and Bowie Television will be on site as much as we possibly can, considering all the sports coverage that we do with the Washington Wizards and continuing that coverage as well. As you all are checking in, if you are new to Bowie Television, welcome. If you are returning, watching and checking out Bowie Television, hello again. So glad that you came back to join us and bring some friends. Make sure you all let folks know about Bowie Television. We have a range of content on this channel, as you all can see. So definitely there's something for everyone on Bowie Television. You all grab your Washington Wizards fan, family, and friends, because we certainly have a lot to discuss about the Washington Wizards 2024 draft. All right. I'm sure you all have been hearing about it. First things first, who forgot that draft was 2 days? Was that just me? And if it was just me, that's totally okay. I'm really okay with that. It's just a lot always going on. And you all know I spend the bulk of my time with the Washington Commanders and covering that team. So NBA draft kind of crept up on me, all right? So, but I was there. I was at Capital One Arena on draft night. Matter of fact, as soon as I walked in, I found out about the trade of forward Denny Avdia to the Portland Trailblazers. And while we're not going to really get into the trade and the specifics around that, at least not for this episode, one of those things in return that the Wizards were able to glean from that trade was an additional pick in the first round. So the Washington Wizards walked away with 3 first-round draft picks. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up, drop a comment if you were like, wow, the Wizards ended up with 3 first-round draft picks. So I'm going to get into some fan reactions from draft night. And the Wizards have now held their introductory press conference where all 3 first-rounders, Alex Sarr, Bub Carrington, Baltimore's own, and Kyshawn George absolutely joined and was introduced to the community. They did some great things. They already, right? They've been it's almost like a DC tour for sure that they have already engaged in since they've been in town. But let's go ahead and get into it, you all. First things first, draft night at Capital One Arena, super well attended. If you went, or if you know somebody that went, thumbs up, high five, love emojis, you name it, because Wizards fans really turned up for sure and turned out at draft night. So here is the reaction during the draft when the number 2 pick was announced. remember a moment ago when I said that the Wizards fans were turned up? That's what I meant. They were super excited, and it has been quite a while since I have witnessed a reaction like that to the Wizards draft pick. Let's just be transparent and honest about that. So there's a lot of energy around what the Wizards are doing. As a reminder, if you all watched any of the weekly DMV Sports Update shows last season, you heard me continue to say, this is a rebuild, like a real rebuild. And you're seeing that through what the team is doing in building through the draft. I'm still super impressed that the team walked away with 3 first rounders. I want to say 4, but 3 first rounders. And they still have a lot of picks in the future because of the trades that they've had with Bradley Beal, Kristaps Porzingis, now with Deni Avdija. Like I said, not going to get into the trade stuff just yet because I know that that was a shock to many Wizards fans. I know that Deni is for sure a fan favorite and will be missed tremendously by the organization and the fan base. I know as media, we truly adored Deni and still do, of course, and had an amazing time covering Deni while he was a Wizard. But this is very much a business. It's that time of the year. We're seeing a lot of things moving and shaking across the NBA. And here we are in the thick of the rebuild. Going to show a clip. This is around maybe a little under 4 minutes or so. So make sure you have a good beverage and perhaps a snack because I want to share how Wizards General Manager Will Dawkins opened up his press conference on draft night.
Thank you all for waiting. This is a new thing for all of us, a 2-night draft. So we're trying to figure out, I feel like this is a halftime interview because we still got another night to go tomorrow. But we're really excited. We did some things to add 3 different players to our roster who all have youth, all have athleticism, all play on both ends, and all want to be here in DC to continue what we have going. And we're excited about that. And I think that at the end of the day, we're going to add some good people. And I'm really, really excited for the way the draft finished tonight for us.
Will, you mentioned being able to add 3 players. How important was it, especially at the stage that you guys are at, to be as active as possible and kind of take chances? And that's not to say you're just grabbing anybody you can, but like, I think a lot of people would say this draft is not as starry, but can you kind of speak to the importance of taking swings and just like getting talent in the door?
Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't use the context of taking swings. I think the group that we have downstairs in that arena, I guess it's our lounge that we turned into our draft room, is full of qualified people who did a tremendous job preparing us this year. We didn't have 2 weeks. We actually had a whole 12 months to prepare this year, and the scouts, they worked their tails off. They identify players, they scour the streets, get information, and our strategy group is coming up with ideas. And this is kind of that time of year where you can combine, and we'll always be aggressive. We'll always try to be strategic. And when you have time to prepare, you kind of identify your players and the people you want to go get and do your best to go get them. Sometimes it works out. It takes 2 to tango, as you know. But we try to identify people first, try to identify talents, and if we can get them, we're going to get them. So I think you've seen the last 2 years that we're willing to move and go get who we want to get.
Does the draft being 2 days, did it change anything for you guys?
Yeah, it did actually.
What exactly was that?
I can't give those secrets away, but I think we're all still here planning for tomorrow. That's the first one. But I think Michael and I, we tried to make sure we took some notes on how it was different. The second round tomorrow will be a true experiment, like the first time we've ever done it. But we addressed the first round like it was a full night and probably prepared as we would for a normal draft, but it definitely feels different.
Alex Sarr obviously has the size, the length, and the athleticism. What can you say about his intangibles and how you picked up on them throughout the evaluation process?
Yeah, I think Alex is a special young man. He has a humility to him, but also a confidence. So when you put those things together with the work ethic that he's proven, and he's not afraid to really explore his game and take chances. So he left home at 14, went to Madrid, played there for a few years, went to America, tried something new with OTE, wanted another challenge, went and played with grown men in Australia. So he's someone that's always looking for more, always trying to get better and compete, and knows who he is. So when you talk to him, it's like a quiet confidence that he knows he's going to continue to get better and has a lot of work to do, but he didn't run away from that. So he's a true basketball player.
And Kyshawn George, as I understand it, was kind of a late riser, late bloomer. So how long has he been on your radar, and just kind of what sold you on making him a first-round pick?
Yeah, I think he's done a really good job when he first hopped on the scene. We've seen him play overseas before he played at Miami, so he played in France as well. And one of our scouts early on in the...
So here's some things I want to mention. And if you see me looking down, I am, because I have a pen in my hand, because I am right. I had some notes. They all have youth, can play both ends of the floor. And what do you know? They want to be in DC. Now, you all have heard me. If anyone watches from the Coaching from the Couch series, the Washington Commanders update, I shared something in an earlier episode during OTAs, and it was about players wanting to play in DC because of the staff, because of the city, the fan base, all of those things, because there has historically been a thought that players don't want to come to DC. And having now been around all three of the first rounders through the introductory press conference, and they also have been already in the community and doing some community engagement activities, they want to be in DC. They want to play for the Washington Wizards. They understand that this is a rebuild. They understand what that means. And we'll get to a little bit of that in a moment when we go through the highlights. And that's about 6 minutes or so of the introductory press conference and what that was like. But they're up for the challenge. They know. And everybody has TVs. So they know the TV. They can watch the TV. Everybody has alerts on their phone. You know, the Wizards didn't have the number 2 pick because they were extraordinary last season, right? So here they are, and they understand that challenge, and they're ready for it, and understanding that this is still an opportunity for them to develop. There is a lot of, and Will was mentioning quiet confidence as it relates to Alex Sarr, but I kind of got that sense across all of the first rounders today, and also last year's first rounder in Bilal Coulibaly. So it becomes this, you know, sometimes, you know, folks like, you know, the loudest folks in the room, and it's not these guys, but that doesn't mean once they get on that court, they're going to let you know what time it is. Now, again, rebuild, development, you're going to continue to hear those words because that is in real life where the Washington Wizards organization is, where they are right now. And so you kind of have to say, it is what it is, and that is where they are, and be okay with that. I think I said, you know what? Let's chime in. Let's let our Bowie television watchers know we were there. We watched, we were in it. And now, having been on site and covering the Wizards for a few years, I'm not going to come up here and tell you with this is the group that's going to change next season. No, I'm not saying that at all. But what they're building for the future, this feels good. This feels right. This feels strategic. This feels well thought out, well planned, especially when you really get into who each one of these players are and how they're going to be progressing. So right at this point in time, am I going to get really into the specifics about each one of these players? Not on this episode. I'm really going to try to stick to just what are some of my key takeaways from draft night in the introductory press conference. And then as Summer League comes up, then of course, more training, conditioning, preparation. Then there's, camp, preseason, get into the season. As we get a little bit closer, then I can kind of share a bit more about who they are, what they're looking like, what can each one of them bring, where as a collective, it just starts really working and firing off all cylinders down the road. So a lot to be excited about, Wizards fans. And I made a post on X where I said, if you don't believe me or believe others, well, maybe you'll believe ESPN, because people typically believe ESPN, and ESPN has given the Washington Wizards an A- on their draft. And I think that is a very, very good thing. And I think it's true. President Winger and General Manager Will Dawkins are doing what they've done in other organizations, and that is build through the draft. Really get on your staff excellent scouts and evaluators and start tracking these guys. Go check them out, right? And really learn who they are. Again, learn who they are as people, as General Manager Will Dawkins said in that clip, as well as let's see the talent as well. So they've been successful. They've done this with other organizations. So we're seeing where they have collectively probably now come together after having 12 months together. Remember, last year it was like two weeks or so where they had to plan, but they still had a plan, which was a good one, which is a great one, right? But this year they've had a whole year to work together, and we're seeing the fruit, at least in the short, very short, immediate term, of what that looks like in 3 first rounders. Of course, it'll have to take, a couple of years to see. And I believe it may be in this next clip, because I definitely want to share another clip. Not sure if we're going to run the whole entire thing, because the next clip is around 10 minutes long, but want to share a bit more of Will Dawkins' press conference from Wednesday night, as he continues to describe their process from the draft and each one of these draft picks. So I'm going to go ahead and get into that, and then we'll move on to some of the highlights from the introductory press conference.
Yeah, he's going to be good in the locker room. But I think when you see both lottery picks that we've taken, you see the athleticism, you see the length, you see the defensive first mentality, and we're going to be a defensive team. We're going to get to that point. When we talked at the end of our season presser, that wasn't good enough last year. So we're going to continue to add those guys, but I think they both have bright futures and have the mindset to be patient to get the most out of themselves. So they're going to be workers. They obviously can speak French to each other, so that'll be helpful through the rookie transition for Alex, but they compete, and they both have upsides of two-way players, but their mindset are mature players. They're not your average rookies when it comes in just to mentality, and I think that'll help us, but also help them.
And then Bub, he said that there was an interest. He knew there was an interest, but he was surprised to be picked by the Wizards. How do you see him fitting in?
Bub, he's a great kid. We spent a really funny lunch just talking football, talking sports, talking life, and just really connecting to see if he can really handle coming back home, because that's not the same from everybody. I know Baltimore, DC area, like we are a proud culture here in DC and the DMV area about basketball, and he's obviously lived the life where he's seen this area blossom from his dad and his granddad, and has been a hooper his whole life. So when you have those conversations with someone that's like, DC, this is home, like I can handle that, that'll be great. You got to have those real conversations with everybody. So Bub's a good kid, he's a good worker, and he's excited to be here. I'm glad he was surprised, because he probably didn't know we had the pick at the time. We were moving up and a lot was going on, but he can play on the ball, he can play off the ball. I think he grew up playing off the ball more. You saw him at the very first game, the half of the season at Pitt. He was playing point guard just to add more offense. They moved him off the ball. He still was efficient. And once he was off the ball, the last half of the season, last 15 games, he was probably shooting close to 40% towards the end of the season from three. So he found ways to get people involved, but also learn how to play off the ball. And like we said, we want multiple decision makers. We want the game to be random within a system, to where you're making reads, anybody can drive the ball, anybody can make a decision. And we added 3 guys who can do that tonight, and 3 guys who also want to compete on the defensive end. So I think that's how Bub, but the other 2 fit in as well.
If we look towards the near future, the first couple weeks of the regular season, out of these 3 guys, who do you foresee as, getting serious minutes maybe, and guys who maybe you want to take a more cautious approach with when it comes to their playing time?
It's halftime. We haven't even finished the draft yet. We might be adding more guys. Let's get to Summer League first, and then we'll spend a little bit more time on that. But like Brian told you, it's going to be opportunity. We're going to make sure we put a plan in place for every single player that's based on their pace. And we won't skip steps in that. So our player development system, each player is involved and each coach is involved, but it's also everyone that supports them. So we'll put a plan in place. We already have their performance plan ready for them when they get here tomorrow. And a PDF, they will get it, and we'll talk about the next steps to prepare for training camp for Summer League, what we want you to do during Summer League, after Summer League, what that gap is before the season starts, and then the ramp up into the season. So Danny Medina and our medical staff, they've got that covered for everybody in the first round that we potentially could have taken, and we'll put a plan in place that makes sense. But we'll get to Summer League first.
With Kyshawn, you said the multiple scouts told you to take a look at this kid.
Yeah.
So once you got a look at him, what jumped out to you as like, man, this kid's really good at doing this? And then when he got to Miami, what really wowed you about him?
Other than the hair, I think the hair was the first thing that jumped out. We had breakfast, I think, the other day before he took off, and I was sharing pictures of my son's hair versus his hair before I cut it. So that popped right away. Instantly, you saw the size. 6'8", I think he's a 6'10" wingspan. He's a second side facilitator, but when they had some injuries, he played on the ball. And again, we're looking for guys who can create and make plays. And at the end of the day, he's going to wake up every morning and be 6'10", play on the wing, and 40% three-point shooter, I think he finished by the end of the season. So that stuff popped quickly. We'll continue to get him to defend and rebound and play with pace here, and add him with some other guys that like basketball and throw him in the mix.
Will, we spoke with Gino during the season. He mentioned the draft process of dealing with you in OKC. And he
Not Gino, please. Don't use him.
He equated you to the questions that you ask is very unconventional. So you can open the door for us a bit in what are some of the types of questions you like to ask the guys to get to know them that is not specifically basketball, but gives you an insight into who they are?
Yeah.
He called you an FBI agent, to be honest.
I've lightened up since Gino because of that, actually. I don't think. Say it again. No one believes me. It's true. I promise you, it is true. I don't think it's that different. I think I just find different ways to communicate and ask the questions that they're probably not being asked by surface level interviews. We want to make sure every player that comes here gets a personal touch. So they're not in Ubers, they're not in car services. Like, we pick them up. They're in my personal car. Some are eating dinner like with us every single night they're here. We're not just paying for per diem. And over that course of time, you get to know people. So by the end of the visit, you can really open up and ask the real questions. And I just really want to know what makes people tick, like what they're about. Michael Winger is all about transparency and truth, and I try to make sure that we have that throughout the entire organization. And I explain, this is what we're about. And we're unapologetically going to be us. And if that doesn't work for you, that doesn't work for you. But if it does, let's make a really good pairing. And at the end of the day, like I told you, our scouts are on it. I think the players midway through realized that we have the intel and we already have the answers, so you might as well just be honest. But when you have a relationship and you can develop that during the draft process, I think it makes it a cool thing. But Ava, I've gotten a lot nicer in the draft combine, at least. The draft combine was a little nicer.
And with
I think I muted myself, you guys. Sorry about that. I hope you guys were able to check that out and really pay attention to what Will Dawkins had to share about the players. It's super just interesting in learning more about the process that this staff is taking. And I think patience is key. Patience is key, but also trust as well. Wizards fans, like, listen, patience and trust that this staff knows what they're doing and they're about their business. Again, go back and see what they've done with other organizations. It didn't happen overnight, and this isn't going to happen overnight. So keep those things in mind, but also remember to keep a positive outlook on what's to come. Deal? All right, deal. So if you're just tuning in to From the Coaching from the Couch series, this is your weekly DMV sports update. I am your host, Candi CWall Waller. You are checking this out on Bowie Television. And this episode is totally focused on the Washington Wizards. Thoughts, insights, reactions from draft night. And now we're moving on to the introductory press conference. So this is when the community and the local media had an opportunity to meet with the 3 first-round picks. The event was held at Union Station in the presidential suite. Super nice. Just wanted to let you all know. And if you knew about the presidential suite, kudos to you, because I didn't know, and I'm from here. Is what it is. At any rate, very nice. Of course it is. And let me just hold on. I think I need to address that as well. Since this front office has been in place, right? So President Winger, General Manager Dawkins, their introductory press conference was at District E, right? Inside Gallery Place. Bilal Coulibaly's introductory press conference was at the Anthem, at the Wharf. Coach Brian O'Keefe, if I'm not mistaken, his was at the Pendry at the Wharf. And now this year's first rounders, the presidential suite at Union Station. All I'm saying is these folks know how to break out the red carpet. And rightfully so. So all good things. I just felt like I really wanted to mention that because it was super cool. I really enjoyed myself. So let's get into some highlights from the introductory press conference. This is around 6 minutes, so I hope you guys still have that good beverage and some really delicious snacks while you're checking out the highlights from the introductory press conference.
About a minute away, everyone. We're going to take this press conference live. So. We appreciate all of you being here and everyone that's joining us live on Washington Sports Network. I'm Chris Miller. Joining us on the stage today is the Wizards' first round picks. We'll start with second overall selection, Alex Sarr from France. A little closer to the DMV, 14th pick from West Baltimore, Carlton, Bub Carrington. And the 24th pick, Kyshawn George from the University of Miami.
For me, I think I first felt unreal. saying, we're the whole rebuilding process. In the league, everyone can shoot, everyone can pass, but if you can limit that, you know, you can start winning a lot more games, and that's what we're kind of trying to bring to the table.
Yeah, the same for me, you know, like they said, I think the all-stars on defense, you know, like, no matter if we score on offense, if we get stops, you get a better chance of winning the game at the end of the day, so I think it's really important.
Like Will said earlier, I feel like we all three of us just knowing these guys just for the last couple of days. I feel like I still get that vibe that everyone here is a challenge. Like we looking at this as a challenge. You know, it's something that we want to attack, something that we know we can be successful in, and we just got to put the work in every day to accomplish that.
Yeah, I'm the same, you know, I haven't met all my teammates, but just watching the game from last year, you can see that it's all guys that really persevere, and they never really give up, no matter how the game goes, and I think that fits all three of us too. So I think we're ready for that.
Yeah, I think we're all ready to compete. Like we had a little workout, and it was really just competitive with some light shooting, so it's really exciting to be able to have a good young group of guys that are ready to compete against the best of the best, and hopefully win a lot of games. That young positive energy to wherever I go and whatever happens.
Yeah, I feel like we're all just kind of positive, like you said, positive guys. Like, I never once got any type of bad feelings from this guy, these guys, any type of bad feelings from any of the coaching staff, anyone in this organization. So you can tell that they try to lead by example, and you can tell that they know what they're looking for. Like, I know these guys are good guys, and I've known them for 3 years.
I think something I want to know is that I'm really caring for people, and if they ever see me outside or want to talk to me or take a picture, that they don't feel any type of way. I'll be happy to do it.
I would only add to that, there's a string of humility between all three of these young men. They've all accomplished a lot at a young age, and they've all taken chances and opportunities to kind of go out on their own a little bit and try different things. So the creativity, the humility with the passion and work ethic is something that ties all three of them together for sure.
Here I go again. Mute myself. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed that. Listen, I'm not a camera woman extraordinaire. And when folks are there, you just got to try to make it work with the shot. So I hope you all were able to at least get a feel for the introductory press conference. If you are, feel free to take a look at Bowie TV Sports on Instagram as well to check out a couple reels in the stories if you don't miss that within 24 hours, and you're able to check out some more of the sights and sounds from the day, which leads me to jumping into some of the media. We did have an opportunity to have a media scrum with, and I keep looking down at this paper, Bub Carrington, because part of me wants to call him Bud, but it's Bub. From Baltimore, Ravens flock, where are you? Tag in a Ravens flock, Baltimore Ravens fan. You all know that at Bowie TV, we also cover the Baltimore Ravens. Bub is a huge Ravens fan. He's absolutely a part of the flock with you all. But he's also super excited to be a Washington Wizard and playing back at home. As I've shared previously, and you may have heard Will Dawkins say, sometimes playing at home works well for folks. Sometimes it doesn't. I think this is going to be just fine. So we'll see. We will see what happens, but I will definitely cannot wait for you all to check out this interview. Like I said, it was media scrum style that a couple of us had with Bub Carrington.
Vince Williams and how big he was for you preparing for this moment right now.
Oh, Vince was huge. Vince, he looked at me as a project coming in. He understood the position I was in. I came into college 6'3", like 170 pounds, maybe. And he understood where I had to be when I had to get there, and he stayed on me every single day. So I left college at about 190.
And also, he started the season out at point guard, but then with Jalen Lowe, you kind of play both guard spots. How do you think that helps you prepare even more for the NBA?
Oh, it helps me a lot. The more you can do, the more valuable you are. So the way it was great that I could showcase my ability to play multiple guard positions, because now you're just that much more valuable on the NBA team.
My next question is, you were kind of under the radar, so to speak, coming out of high school, watching at St. Francis and whatnot, but look where you are a year later. What advice would you give to local kids who kind of were frustrated, kind of on the same journey about where they're getting at?
I would tell people that if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. There's no such thing as staying neutral in basketball. Spend as much time in the gym as you can, be as consistent as you can. Because, like I said, if you're not getting better, you're only getting worse. I appreciate you.
You just mentioned your versatility. How do you think that's going to help you actually move forward in your career in the NBA?
It's going to help a lot, just like I mentioned earlier, just being able to be valuable for a team. The team's going to have, guards, different type of guards, but if you can be that other guard on the team, you can stay on that team, showcase their ability to do multiple things, it's going to take you a long way.
And then Will Dawkins, the other night during his press conference, he said that in his conversations with you, he wanted to know if you were prepared or wanted to come back home to play, and then you said you were. So, why did you feel like you were prepared to come back home? Because that can be difficult sometimes.
Yes, and I understand that. And I feel like it's a testament to the strong support cast and the household I grew up in, not really letting me succumb to distractions. I never been that kid to kind of go with the flow. I always kind of stayed in my own lane. Like I said, testament to my parents, kind of keeping me with that tunnel vision. So if you ask me if I'm prepared to play back home, I say 100%.
Okay, and then speaking of your family, you had, you said 50-something family members in New York. Could we expect to see all that at the game, and then also what was their reaction to you being drafted?
Yes, you will see 200 people. Probably. Yeah, I'm gonna have probably a lot of people at the games. But and their reactions they were nothing but tears, excitement, they felt really accomplished. I wouldn't really know that.
Bub, I think an underappreciated storyline from this whole draft process is that 7 of your Pitt teammates came out to the draft, drove out to support you. What is your reaction to that? What does that Pitt brotherhood and family mean to you?
Oh, it means a lot. We had a very tight-knit team that we had created, and for a team that was together for that 1 year, we had 4 freshmen, 3 transfers. It was a team that was definitely new. And just the fact that we ended up becoming so close, kind of like actual brothers, it shows a lot. I was very happy that we were able to come.
How would you describe your approach to the game?
I feel like I approach the game from a very competitive standpoint. I'm a winner. I feel like that's something that I try to pride myself on. So I approach the game in a very, what can we do to win type of mindset.
And are there any particular NBA players that you watched growing up that you say, hey, this is what my game is kind of emulating, or kind of how I want to play once I'm into the league?
Not really. Me and my dad, we just kind of focused on being the best player I could be, and really try to focus on anything else.
So I always enjoy when a player, if I ask a player in any sport, what's a player that you wanted to emulate your game after? Who do you say, I want to be like this person? And they're like, no, I want to be like the best version of me, kind of sort of. We just focus on my game and myself. Always say, you know what, that's super cool, because there's only could be one first of yourself out there. So super duper dope time covering the draft as well as the introductory press conferences. For sure, Wizards fans, you got to like even experience it here. Some of the background, you probably say this background noise is this, is that. Hey, listen, that is what exclusive insights and reactions, that's what it's all about. You hear exactly what's going on. You're absolutely in the space the entire time, just like you were there. We try to give you a very realistic preview of what it feels like to be in the spaces. As I've mentioned previously, they were all in the community. And so they went from the introductory press conference to a community event at Berry Farms Recreation Center to the Mystics game. So they have been all over and definitely enjoyed being greeted by Wizards fans as well. So listen, I'm going to reiterate a message that I shared with you all in the earlier episode, right? Because we kind of try to split it up, kind of part one, part two. If you're just tuning in, because it's a lot to take in at one time. So patience. Okay, Wizards fans, trust. And I'm not going to go 76ers route, okay? Josh Harris route. Trust the process. Not necessarily trusting the process. I'm not saying that per se. But what I am saying is, if you have done your homework on the individuals in this front office staff, specifically President Michael Winger and General Manager Will Dawkins, then you know that building through the draft, very well, might I add, is something that they do. So it is not unusual for them to come in and do that. Trade pieces, get picks back, may get a player here or there as a part of that deal. But when you really look at what this front office has done in terms of trades and what they have gotten back, right, in terms of picks, that's your sign that they are planning strategically and according to what needs to happen to effectively rebuild. So I said, hey, I'm preaching patience to you guys. I'm preaching, and ladies, I'm preaching patience, trust, and staying positive. Stay positive. Just hold off. Stay positive. It doesn't have to be all negative. Now, it might feel negative. Now, it might be a little, hey, look, I tried to tell people last season, this isn't going to go well, okay? This is not going to go well. And you never know. You never know. Anything can happen. But in rebuilds, typically it's quite painful in the early parts. So last year was like year one of the rebuild. This is year two. Maybe you start to see a shift upwards year three, right? So just, patience, trust, stay positive. All right. That is the encouraging word of the day from your girl CWall. But no, seriously, you all, thank you so much as always for tuning in to Bowie TV. It is just so amazing and a lot of fun to be able to share with you all what we're learning, what we're seeing, and just overall coverage of the sports teams in the area. So as things update with the Washington Wizards, Bowie TV will have you covered with Wizards coverage as well. So thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like, make sure you have subscribed, and make sure you are sharing Bowie TV with all of your family and friends. I'll be seeing you all again soon.